There's this really cool phrase that I've heard my whole life, especially lately when the last several years when I've been doing trainings and learning about thought work and mind management and just all of these tools that have absolutely changed my life and now are starting to I'm seeing it like wildfire. We are changing lives left and right when you really understand what's going on. Who did I say the other day? I made a joke that it's like taking the red pill in the Matrix. Now, I know I'm dating myself, but and you feel sorry for people that don't know, or they're buying into all this awful stuff, either about how they feel bad about themselves or how they let other people behave because they think it's their fault. Like, this is not your fault. None of this is your fault. There's nothing wrong with you. Now, once you learn this, you're going to have to, put some skin in the game and make some changes and feel your feelings and identify, why do you want to run out in the middle of the night and have that cake? Why does that make you feel safe? Do you just like the dopamine blast? There's this saying that I've heard for years. And what it says is neurons that fired together, wired together. But you know what I never hear? I never hear the second half of that quote. The second half is neurons that fire together, wire together, as long as they get a burst of dopamine. For example, your neuron A over here decides to activate neuron B, and that activation produces what would be identified by your brain as some kind of reward. There's this burst of dopamine, and that burst is necessary. It reinforces the pathway. It remembers it so you can do it again. So it literally wires that pathway together so that you will do that again. The flip side of this is that there is a lot that can be unwired or rewired in a different way. That's a lot of the work that I do. I rewire people's brains based on learning to manage your brain and understanding thought work and the science and methodology behind that. Most of it based in neuroscience. When we understand thought work, we understand that we can rewire our brains and we can change our behavior and we can understand things entirely different than we did before. And we can change our lives. And you don't have to do anything. You don't have to change anything about yourself. The great thing about this work, my friends, is you get to be the amazing, incredible, awesome person that you already are. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to stop people pleasing. You don't have to learn how to be better at conflict. You don't have to learn to say the right things in the right moment. You don't have to ever let stuff bother you again. You don't have to let people get under your skin. You don't have to let stuff get to you ever. Because once you understand the science behind why you feel what you feel and why your brain is doing this, and often it's just trying to save you horribly, it changes everything. It changes your whole life. My son asked me the other day, does anything offend you? And I said, no, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I know why my brain responds the way it responds. I know why your brain responds the way it responds. I know why you say the thing. I know why I feel the thing. And I have an entire incredible methodology that I have learned over the years that has changed my life. I don't care anymore. And I care very deeply, right? I care so much, but I don't care if you have something ugly to say. I don't care. Doesn't matter because I understand my brain and I can manage it. So that's what I teach. And that's what my coaches teach. I don't know anything better. In days, I was a different human doing this work. The whole point of talking about the amazing, almost magic of mind management and thought work is that we can rewire our brains to stop some of this stuff that has entirely confused our survival instincts because we've totally disoriented them. If our brain is not capable of this predictability factor, it doesn't function well. So basically, when you don't have predictability, such as someone blindsiding you with, some awful comment or somebody's saying something out of left field that's really ugly that you don't feel you deserved. That disorients your brain. And that causes your brain to have impaired cognitive functioning, even in that little moment. The problem with all of this, the problem with not seeing people-pleasing behavior for what it is that you will continue to do it. And you will continue to wire those pathways in directions you don't want them to go. Because if you've convinced yourself that you can feel better by that boss who didn't give you the affirmation that you earned, by the way, most likely, I imagine, I know I did. If you continue to allow your brain to tell you that you will feel better if dude who did not give you the affirmation that you earned finally gives you the affirmation that you will be safe because you get a blast of dopamine, you are causing really bad neural pathways for yourself. And you are training your brain that is the right direction to go, that is where food and water is. And my friend, that is where this saber-toothed tiger is waiting for you. Do not go that direction. And let me let you in on another secret. If you have worked your tail off, if you have done something that's awesome, that you know is awesome, sure, there's typos or whatever, nothing's perfect, but if you have done amazing work that you are convinced and you feel great about, and then you go in and your brain is predicting this parade of awesome affirmation to help you understand that you're doing a good job and you're successful, and you don't get it, that person, they're never going to give it to you. If they don't give it to you in that moment, unless they have a good excuse or they're busy or they're, on the phone or something's on fire. If you don't get the affirmation that you've earned, you are not going to get it. Not from that person and not from people like them who, for whatever reason, their brain tells them to behave in such a manner, probably trying to save them as well, which once you really start to understand this, you start to live in this place of incredible empathy. You're like, wow, what is your brain telling you that you can't take 5 minutes to give me the affirmation I deserve that I earned? But whatever, it's your brain. Good luck. They're never going to give this to you. It's not happening. You will spend the rest of your life chasing dopamine blasts to feel better in the moment because your brain's disoriented. And you didn't know that, but now you do. And you don't have to do that anymore. You can say, oh, well, all right, must have a casserole on your mind or whatever for dinner tonight. I don't know, but here's your report. Bye. See you later. Have a great day. Because you don't have to chase that. You don't go in the chainsaw shed. Don't evaluate the problem. Who cares? I mean, how many of us scream at the TV when we watch a movie like that? Don't go in there. What are you doing? Everybody does it. Everybody I know does it. They're like, get in the car and drive away. Get in the car and drive away. What are you doing? What are you doing, you stupid teenager? What are you doing? No. Ah! Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what I'm saying to you. Don't go down the dark stairwell into the basement of never-ending dopamine chasing. That's all you're doing. Stop it. Don't do it. You see you're doing it? Oh, it feels yucky? Yeah, of course it does. You're disoriented. And often when the dopamine alert system kicks in and it runs through our amygdala, it cascades all of these stress hormones into our bodies. And those are things that were supposed to happen when we were in real life danger. Our life was in jeopardy. That's when those responses are supposed to happen. But we're so messed up now, we don't know when it's a bear and when it's our boss being a jerk about, I don't know, thinking about casseroles instead of giving us our ticker tape parade. Well, I deserve ticker tape parades. I don't know about you, but... So don't go down the dark stairwell. You don't need to know what's down there. It doesn't matter. Get in the car and drive away. That is safety. That is joy. Because trying to make somebody happy that is never going to give you that approval. I mean, they've already proved it. They've already shown you their cards. Now you're just feel good hormone chasing. You have a problem. We're going to intervene right now. Stop it. It doesn't have to be a thing. because now you understand. So let's wrap it up. Why do we people please? We people please because our brains are 1950s accountants in suspenders and bow ties that don't want you to touch their stuff. Oh, that's like my husband. No, Michael's not. He's not stuffy, but he definitely loves an Excel spreadsheet. Our brains are creatures of habit. Our brains need to predict what is happening as far in advance as possible. And the moment they can't, they freak out. It's like a tizzy, it's like has a toddler having a tantrum because it doesn't get what it expected. What 4-year-old does this sound like? It sounds like my kids when they were 4. That's exactly how our brains behave. It doesn't get what it expected, what it wanted, its little feel-good blast of whatever. It throws a tantrum. And so now you're disoriented because that's how the brain works. It's like stuck in between the good and the bad. It doesn't understand neutral. It doesn't understand gray. It needs to now solve the problem because that's what the seeking thing does. It seeks safety. Safety is pleasure. Pleasure is a reward. Reward are answers. Answers are, why doesn't my boss love me? I'm going to freak out. Now I'm going to go home and ruminate all night about it and all the things I did terribly. And the truth is that you just didn't get a blast of dopamine. And now your brain hates you for a hot minute. It'll get over it. I promise you. So that's why we people please. And the problem with this, the biggest problem when you rewire your neural pathways to start this behavior, that's somehow a good thing. You won't stop doing it. Your brain thinks that's food and water, and it's not. Think about it. It's not. That's why you're doing it. And that's why it's so annoying because it's not good for you. It is not good for you. Your brain just doesn't know that. You have to start living in the prefrontal cortex. That is our evolved brain. That is where our judgment is, not in the primitive brain. The primitive brain, as much as it's trying to solve and help, it's not at all. No, it's practically Michael Myers. No. I'm Jamie Lee Curtis running around the woods like, So yeah, let's not do that. That is the human brain. That is why we people please. That is a thing that we need to stop. Now, I know your question is, well, how do I stop? Yeah, you can. You can. We don't need to have this. There is no reason to lose sleep, precious sleep that you love, ruminating over whether or not you please somebody that probably never going to be pleased. And you only did it because you were chasing dopamine. Okay. Well, yeah. So now you know what it is, but how? There's so much about our behavior that is driven simply by the neurons that fire in our brains. Almost everything we do that makes us crazy feeling, it's like, that's how, I don't take that lightly. I've shared when I was in the workplace and I was not getting responses from people that made any sense to my brain and just normal stuff that I was using my thinking brain for that I knew I should have gotten better responses or not been treated, talked to, so whatever. I wasted a lot of time worrying and ruminating and having stress and anxiety and convincing myself that there was things wrong with me. And there was nothing wrong with me, just like there's nothing wrong with you. It's just about information. And again, your brain likes predictability. So once your brain has the information, it doesn't have to get disoriented anymore. Like that's the funniest part is you're like, oh, brain, here's why you're doing what you're doing. And then your brain is like, oh, well, that explains why I was getting disoriented because I wasn't able to, predict what was happening because I didn't understand. But now you're telling me that it's my fault that I did this and now I can stop because now I can predict it. How are we walking around in this world? Seriously, I just can't. It's too much. I'm going to laugh the rest of my life. It's not because I have the funniest person in the world as a husband, which I do, but it's now that I'm learning all this stuff. Again, I took the red pill because I see it for what it is now. And I want everybody to have this view, this perspective, because I've never been happier in my entire life. And I've never cared so little about letting stuff get to me. It doesn't. Doesn't have to, because I've taken over entire agency of my brain. My brain's not in charge. I'm in charge. And I'm not playing with that nonsense anymore. I'm not doing it. I refuse.